This podcast contains mature themes, questionable humor, and explicit language. Listen with discretion. Please take care.
Dialog Over Drama?
Let's see what the fuck this puzzle is.
Yeah, what does it look like? Let go of control and see what happens. I think I'm going to have better experiences.
Welcome to Dialog Over Drama, episode 51. I am Dialogue Danny, and I am here with my sweet, sweet, sweet bonita,
Courtney Drama.
There you go.
Much better. Much better.
There you go. So I know how to speak Spanish. You know, I watched all of Breaking Bad with the
so
fucking subtitles
funny.
on.
I love that.
So one of the things that I absolutely love, and I'm going to make sure Courtney actually puts a link to the actual account in the description, which we need to go over and redo some old episodes. But I love body cam footage. I think it is fascinating. I know a lot of people shit on police. I personally love the police, and I think the police are like every other occupation in the world, where you have a small few people that are just terrible at their jobs, that are just idiots, and the rest of them are really good people and doing a great job that are trying to do the best they can. So that being said, the body cam gods have gifted us something so fucking wonderful. It's a really shitty situation, but this is on a channel called EWU Body Cam. And EWU does a lot of really cool shit. You should check them out. But this is just the greatest exchange between a man and an officer. And here we go.
No, I didn't despair. Things I've never seen before in my life.
So, I'm sorry, say that again. What did you say?
Some big old titties I've never seen before in my life.
Now, because you said she had big breasts, did you see her breast?
We're gonna hear some these mother.
Huh?
We're gonna hear some these mother.
She said that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what did you do next?
Well, I took some big old titties.
I'm sorry, say that
Yeah, I
again.
did suck them big old titties because he said, suck these titties.
So I sucked on those big old titties.
I absolutely, we both, when we saw that, started howling.
Oh, and
Officer's like, so what did you do next?
What did you-
Suck them big old titties.
she showed me those big old titties, and she said, suck on these big old titties. And what'd you do next? I sucked on those big old titties. Like, it's
That's
just
great.
the fucking best. It is absolutely the best.
Well, in this episode, what comes from titties are mothers.
Mother's titties.
But we don't talk about that. We actually had a conversation before we started recording this episode that we were going to do like a short little mid of Does It Please the Court on kind of like the dynamics between like a mother and son relationship and what's, acceptable, norm, not norm, all that. And I get into a conversation that I have with somebody where there's like this stigma on mother-son relationships, which I was kind of able to disprove because they had known none the wiser. But we had a whole other main that we were going to talk about because I have just gotten back from the Dominican and it's the longest we've spent time apart. But unfortunately, the mother-son topic was just so juicy.
It was so good.
That we talked about it for the whole episode. So,
all right, let's change the channel. All rise, if it pleases the court. So, if it pleases the court, one of the things that I wanted to do with If It Pleases the Court is, over our relationship, there's been tons of stuff where it would drive you nuts because you couldn't understand it or it didn't make sense to you because it's something you hadn't seen before, that I kind of want to turn If It Pleases the Court into, do you remember when this was something that bugged you that now is completely fine for you to deal with? So one of the things that's really weird about our beginning of a relationship is when I had a genuine relationship with my mother, she respected boundaries, I respected her boundaries. And even with the boundaries she'd break, it was because she just wanted to explain to a friend, not trauma dumping on her son.
right. But you and your mom also had a very not typical mother-son relationship because you didn't really talk to your mom for a while.
Exactly. So, like, I remember when we first met, it was very hard for you to wrap your head around how I dealt with my mom, right? Like, it was like a different experience you'd have. Like, well, if your mom says we should go up, like, aren't you going to feel bad that you're telling your mom no? And I'm like, no, I can rationally explain to mom, we're not coming up because we're busy today.
Yeah, there was kind of two sides to it that I didn't fully understand when I met you, because to me it was like anyone that I had known that was a male that had they had a relationship with their mom. They respected their mom. And same with like even myself and like female friends, like there was just a certain level of like how you treated your mother. And then when I met you, the two sides of it was you were able to set boundaries with your mom, not cater to your mom, not feel like you had to do something because she was your mom. But then also at the same time, you were close enough with her that you told her almost too much.
Right.
That I had to reel you in. And I was like, wait, why are you so close with your... Like, it was just two polar opposite sides. And I didn't really understand that kind of dynamic.
And it's very layered. It's not like a very simple, like, hey, this is what a relationship is.
Yeah, and when I got the backstory of your relationship with your mom, from like growing up to your teens, your adolescence, not talking to your mom, and then repairing that with your mom, it makes sense why you have the relationship you do with her.
Absolutely. Just so a little bit of a backstory, just to kind of fill people in on where it was, is I grew up with my mom and my dad. My parents split when I was 12, and then in around 18, my stepfather and I never got along. He was an angry drunk that just kind of had like, you know, like the alpha male syndrome. So I didn't want to alpha male him because I could have easily, it wasn't something that I needed to do because that's mom's husband. That's someone my mom loves. So he always was off bounds as to me. If he was just some random person that happened to be a family friend, my stepfather would have had the shit kicked out of him like multiple times by me and multiple of my friends.
So at this point, because you didn't get along with your stepdad, you still had that traditional respect for your mom where you're like, she's my mom, and because she's married to this man, he's off limits for how far I can push it.
Exactly. So I showed as much respect as I needed to, and it was one of my first kind of, I'm going to make an adult decision being like, I'm going to distance myself and see what side my mom chooses. Does my mom choose my stepfather? Because then that answers so many questions. Or is she going to choose me? Mm-hmm. My mother, for the longest time, chose my stepfather, believed in what he was saying. And I didn't talk to my mom for a good 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't know the amount of time. It felt like a long time because I am close with my mom. And then when I went back, it was like well, you need to submit to your stepfather. And I was like, nope, not happening. Mm-hmm. I'll treat him like a human being, but I'm not going to submit to him. He's not greater than me. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of threw my mom the proposition of, you, by the decisions you've made, have lost all your ability to be like, I'm your mom. You need to listen to me. Because most kids grow up thinking their parents are the smartest people in the world. Mm-hmm. Because that's who taught them all the stuff, right?
Right. My nickname was Know-It-All.
Yeah. So, like, I got to the point where I was like, no, I want a relationship with my mom, but the only way a relationship's going to work with my mom is if we both kibosh the whole mother-son relationship thing and then are friends.
Right.
And that's the way it needed to be.
Yeah.
And that's when our relationship flourished.
Yeah. And I remember when you told me that kind of logic that you applied to your relationship with her, it was so refreshing and something I had never heard before as being a thing, that I was able to take that and tell my parents the same thing at one point, where, you know, things were maybe kind of rocky and I'm moving out on my own. I'm trying to figure myself out. And there were some struggles. And I remember saying, like, we're starting over. Like, this is a neutral playing ground. You are no longer here to parent me. We can both respect each other and have boundaries. And this is what it's going to be. And I remember that being one of the first times that I had kind of had to set a boundary, you know, for myself and with the family.
Right.
So
it's a hard thing to do.
It was very hard, but I think it was just nice to know that, like, hearing your story and kind of how you went through it, it ended up becoming like a super close, strong bond that you have with her now. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Like it's so hard because, like, so many parents are like, my mom's going to be upset or my dad's going to be upset or my family's going to be upset. And I'm like, that doesn't faze me. Like, because I have tons of friends who, like, you know, the old expression, you can't pick your family, but you can pick your friends. Mm-hmm. I'm 100% in the fact of, like, once you reach a certain age of independence, like,
you get to pick when your family is your friend. But it's a weird, hard thing to do because, for instance, like there's certain roles that society thinks that you need to be in, that when you're put in a position where you're right in the middle of having to choose what position you stand in. Like, a lot of people know from listening to this podcast, we have such a big age gap that one of the biggest struggles that I still have to this day is like, I'm close to your parents in age and I'm close to you in age, but like the same kind of distance. So I'm right in the middle. So, well, whatever.
You lean more one way than the other.
Yeah, more closer to your parents.
Stop thinking you're younger than you are.
So what I'm thinking, like what I deal with all the time is like, is your mom and your dad one of my peers? Because we could have easily been in the same running crowd, or are they my parent-in-laws? Mm-hmm. So like both of which have very extremely different responses when something's presented in a room.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's just a weird where I know society has that way, but when it comes to my personal family, like, there's family members of mine that you've never met because I was like, that family member, I don't give a fuck if they're blood. Mm-hmm. I have no desire to be with them because they don't give my life any nutrition. It's all about playing a fake game of like, we need to get together because we're family.
Yeah.
I have no desire for it.
Yeah. And I know that like the reason again, maybe we can save this for obviously next week, but why you flip-flop between the, okay, is this family or is this peers, especially when it comes to my parents? And I think that's because of me. Because like I set that tone because I think if I was fully, even though I've said it to my parents once before about boundaries and like whatever, but if I was fully peers without any of that like respect because they're my family,
right,
then you would totally be peers and be 100% yourself and whatever. But because I teeter, you have to teeter as well. Because
right. Anyways, but what we were getting into was the whole mother and son,
which is also interesting because you always hear like daddy's girl or mama's boy. Right. So you always hear those kind of dynamics when it's like a mother and a son and that close bond. And it's like, oh, they're my baby boy and all of this. But then at the same time, I hear
it's a weird fence line to walk.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I also hear about how there's like so many mothers where they're like, oh, like my son never calls me, or like my son's not around, or it's always like
my son's a man now, so he doesn't need me.
Yeah, because he's taking care of another family.
Yeah.
Why would he take care of his mother? But not always, because there's definitely, I know cultures out there too where it's like, your mama runs the roost kind of thing. But when it comes to like the connection of it, so I personally know more people than not where they have that. They're like my son never calls me. He never tells me anything. I'm always left in the dark. And you tend to rely on their significant other to hopefully pick up the slack on that. Or they get close with the grandchildren eventually, like something to keep that tie. And so because I know more of that side, I had an interesting conversation with someone where they have two boys and they were talking about that. Like, oh, my sons are never close with me. But they positioned it as all men are like that.
Right. Like, men do this.
Right. Exactly. And I remember when I was having this conversation with this person, I was like, actually, it's like, I don't think that's totally the case. Like, they had never seen anything otherwise. Right.
Right.
And so when I was able to tell the person about your story with your mom, that they were like, really? And I was like, yeah, like that, I'm like, Dan calls his mom all the time, like tells her everything that's going on. Like sometimes, and I even told the person, like in the beginning of our relationship, it was almost too much that I had to be like, can you pull back telling your mom literally absolutely everything?
Here's the weird thing about that. Like I actually wanted to bring up, but since you kind of led right into it, is like, there's so many people that talk about their mom and they're like, my mom's so naive. She doesn't understand the way things work. But then when their mom talks about those serious things that they have the answer to, they're like, Mom, that's way too much. Why are you like talking to me? Don't you have friends to talk to? And then they bitch about, oh, my mom talked to this friend about this, but then my mom's friend gave her this shitty advice. Can you believe she gave her this shitty advice? Why don't you just give your mom the good advice?
Yeah.
Even like when we first met, my mom was going through like some issues when it comes to the bedroom department. And I was having full-on conversations with my mom about it, being like not getting into the nitty-gritty graphic shit that you don't want to hear about your mom, but just about the more communication aspect of like bedroom stuff, where you were like, why in the world would you even talk to your mom about that? I'm like, because I'd rather get it from an honest point of view than talk to one of her friends and have that men are just like this
point of view.
Yeah. Like, I am a man and I'm close friends
and you
with
wouldn't
my
steer
mom.
her wrong.
I'm never
right?
going to steer her wrong.
And it's funny you say that, because that kind of topic came up with the person I was talking to, because they, like, their daughter-in-law is like super open, tells them everything and maybe way too much. And like that kind of came up.
Right.
And that person was like, well, I'm so happy that at least someone's telling me something. I'd rather too much than the nothing at all that I get.
Which is a sad state of affair to be in.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But when I was able to give her that clarity, like, no, like, not all men are like that though. Like there are some that just, they have a close relationship with their mom and they tell them a lot of things, and like no topics off table. And I think, like, for you having that with your mom, like, it is so healthy, and I'm so happy that you have that, because I know women where, forget mother and son, even husband and wife, in relationships where women are always like, my husband never tells me anything. It's like pulling teeth trying to get him to tell me how he feels, right? And there's always some sort of underlying, I mean, at least in my opinion, I think there's always some underlying reason as to why. I don't think men maybe they are. I mean, maybe men naturally are very reserved like that.
No.
But is it because they're never raised and put up in a situation where it's like safe to say those things, like to talk about anything?
I think there's a lot of people who've been raised by fathers who didn't have a very emotionally available father, that comes to the point where if they're looking up to their, because like your father is where you get, as a woman, where you get your first kind of ideals of what a man is. So like the only way that feelings are talked about by a lot of men, from my experience of seeing it, is a manipulative thing. You guys hurt my feelings, so you have to do this. So there's no like, you guys aren't even appreciating this. Like, do this for me because it proves that you're appreciating me. Like, it's more of like emotions used as a manipulation tool, because they almost get to the point where I need to be the solid one because everyone's looking to me when they're falling apart, that they can't have feeling. They can't have feelings of depth.
Yeah, and you know what? This actually brings me back to one of our earlier on episodes where we talked about the stigma with men and men's health. And that kind of same aspect, even when it comes to relationships between mother and son, or just men in general expressing their emotions, is because it's like, well, you're supposed to be manly. You're supposed to be the rock. You can't crumble. You hold the family together.
Yep.
So you have someone like that then expresses emotions to their mother for comfort, or their wife, whichever way, or like a sister, or just anybody of the opposite sex. It's like, yeah, maybe it isn't something that just comes natural. But I think then in raising quote unquote man, it should be more taught. Because I know for you and I, like, if we ever have kids, like, we wouldn't want our children to hide anything from us, so we would always create an environment in which they feel comfortable, whether it's mom to son, like my relationship with said son, or you as a father to a daughter. Like, when it comes to that, like, there always should be that support.
Well, you have to see like where men come from in, like, traditionally, I'm saying, like, things are slowly changing, I guess. But traditionally with men aren't allowed to really be like if I were to be like, okay, Courtney's doing this thing to me and it's bugging me. So if I were to bring up to you that, oh, you're doing this, a lot of women in the past would feel bad and guilty that they'd done something, and then that would be something that they thought they could come back and be like, can you believe you made me feel this way? And they kind of discount what he actually was saying, and they're more caught up in the fact of like, what you said hurt my feelings, now you need to apologize for hurting my feelings. So it's just like anything a man would say traditionally gets turned around into, you're disrupting my life, why are you doing this? You having feeling disrupts my life. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So even with you, like you're an amazing partner, but I know that when it comes to me being genuinely stressed about something, I need to have everything worked out, because I know I'm only going to get 48 hours worth of you playing the role of empathetic, because you've never really been there as a person who's going through a long haul of someone going through something. That you like build it all up and below your load within the first 48 hours, and you're like, aren't you over this yet? Come on. Like you aren't that aggressive, but like that's the mentality behind it, right? Where I'm like, a week before I know something stressful is going to happen to you, I'm already starting to pamper you, and then the week while you're going through it, I'm pampering it, then I'm doing aftercare.
Right. It's so fascinating, because I wish I could just pull them up on my phone real quick, but it would take me a while to find them. But I've seen two completely polar opposite videos, and both resonate so well. And it's so frustrating, because like, then how do you bridge that gap? So one video was of what you're talking about, where it's like women take on like some woman was saying women take on all the emotional burden, right? They take on more than a man will ever know, and blah, blah, blah. And so when a husband, let's say, like just this makes me think, well, if a woman feels that way, she takes on all the emotional burden that a man would not know, then when a man tries to talk about his feelings, why the fuck would a woman care? Because she's like, well, like, what do you mean? I'm doing all the emotional.
Right.
So I've seen that side where I'm like, okay, like I can see how that would feel to a woman.
Yep.
Sure. I believe it. I think that women have.
You felt that way in the past.
And I sometimes still do, but situational.
Right, exactly.
And I think the video was like a realm as a whole. No, I don't agree with that. What I resonated with was to a section of the relationship. So
Right.
I'm going to use finances.
Right.
Okay, sure. When it comes to finances, it's a role that I've taken on. So I take on all the emotional, maybe let's say worry and burden of that, because that's just my wheelhouse. But
Right.
that's fine. I'm not like, that doesn't mean that you
It's not
can't.
a bad thing.
It's not, bad. No, it's not a bad thing.
It's-
It's just the video was like
Yep.
the extreme of all, right? I was like, okay. But then I saw another video, and I think actually you may have sent it to me, and it was coming from a man's perspective of like, you have no idea what runs through their head. And I don't remember who it was, but he was talking about how men have like 1,000,001 thoughts going all the time, and women have like absolutely no idea what goes on in our heads.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was like a man's perspective. And I remember then listening to that video being like, like, okay, so this is coming from a man's mouth. Like, he actually just opened up that like all this goes on in their minds as well.
Yeah.
It was eye-opening to see that, but I could relate to the women's side. But it's like, yeah, where do you then bridge that gap? Because what you're saying is, I also have heard of a lot of women that are like, oh my God, like, I don't know why my husband keeps bothering me with all of his problems. Like, and it's like, okay, then you clearly take on a huge chunk of that relationship. We're like, what is your husband taking on then? And why can't you talk to him to figure out how to solve his problems? And I think even like we've talked about on a past episode, if I've got you covered and you've got me covered, then we're both covered.
100%.
So when I hear that side, even between like a mother and a son, and that relationship not being connected and communicating, is because like to some degree, which I mean, you should apply some of that. If I take care of you, you take care of me with
Yep.
anyone you love, not just your like significant other. But yeah, it's always kind of like, well, you thinking that all men don't talk to their moms. No, it's just that you did something maybe wrong along the way.
Right.
Or
Or you're still trying to hold a position of mom. You're still like,
yeah.
So what it comes down
that like
to
you
is,
know best, and
so
that maybe your kid can't teach you something.
There's
Or
some times where I've gone out with my mom and like a couple of her friends, and I talk to my mom the way that I talk to my mom, and some of her friends will be like, almost like, why are you like, you know, like when your mom's talking to you, mom will be like, oh, do this, kind of give me advice, and I'd be like, I understand that, but that's not going to work because of this. And it's almost like they look at me like, why are you disrespecting your mom? I'm like, she knows I'm not disrespecting her. I like, you know, like we're not disrespecting each other. We're just like, oh, it's just someone throwing out ideas like you would with a friend. Whereas there's a lot of people that are like, I'm his mother. I know what's best. And then,
Right.
so if you're trying to talk to your kid and your kid's like...
thinking that
so
your
I'll-
way is the only way. And
I'll
that,
give
like,
you an
yeah.
example. When you were younger and you would say to your mom, I feel like I have so much anxiety right now. And she's like, no, you just need to go do this and you'll be fine. Like they just discount it, give you the motherly advice.
Their
and
words
push
were
you out the
medicine.
door.
Yeah, like their words were the medicine, and that
Bingo.
was it. Yeah.
And you can't have a relationship, a true relationship with someone
Especially your child. Yeah.
unless you've actually developed that relationship where it's like we're two human beings that are friends. That's what it is. Like
Yeah.
the caring mother that wiped your ass and kissed your boo-boo and all that kind of stuff is 100% still there. Don't get me wrong in that. But I'm saying, but as we navigate life as adults, if you want that to keep going on, you know, that kiss on the boo-boo can be listening to your child.
Right. Like the same tricks aren't always going to work.
They're
right?
not going to work.
Yeah. How you got through calming down a tantrum toddler is very different than your adult son who doesn't tell you what's going on in his
Bingo.
life.
And like there's
Right?
times
Yeah.
even where I've seen where like you've been with like I've been with your family when like, you know, like they've gone through something or there's an incident or something, and your mom will come over and do what she used to do as a kid, be like, oh, look at my pretty little girl and her nose and everything
Yeah.
like that. And you're like, Mom, just don't touch me right now.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be there for me.
Yeah, like I'm overstimulated.
Let me vent.
Yeah,
to
what I
you.
need right now is to like talk it out.
And then
Yeah.
once you become that, oh, I'm seeking the comfort of my mom, then enter the comfort mom world. But have that decency to give and take what you need to do. Put away the mom vibes for a minute, because when she needs her mom, she'll look for her mom.
Yeah. Well, but back to the mother and son thing, though. When do you think it's like too extreme? So in our situation, I was able to come to you and say, hey, I think you telling your mom this part, like in more detail about our sex life, let's say, makes me uncomfortable. And being able to talk to you about that and tell you it bothers me, it seemed like a very rational ask, because obviously I wasn't telling you to like not talk to her at all. And you respected that and you dialed it down.
I 100% did, but in the same hand, like...
I'm asking you a question and you're cutting me off.
Oh, sorry. I was answering the question.
I haven't asked it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, so like in that kind of situation, how would you handle somebody where it's like, if I'm able to talk to you and that's that, but when is it too much? Like, when can a partner say to their partner, like, hey, this mother-son relationship is like, you need to cut the umbilical cord? Because now I'm taking it to an extreme.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, sorry. I'm going to jump to an extreme. Because this, like I was saying, the conversation I had is somebody assumed that all men are like that. They're not close with their mom. And I was able to disprove that with you, right?
I will tell you exactly where it becomes too much. Where it becomes the girlfriend that they're with, in their mind, the replacement of their mom. And then that woman doesn't fill it. So they just fill the gaps in that their partner didn't. But they landed a girlfriend anyways by doing it with their mom. So like, I have friends that like are married and their husband spends a lot of time at home, but they go to their mom's 3 nights a week so mom can do their laundry the way they do it properly. Or make the meals that they want. Like I can make my husband a ton of meals, but they're never as good as his mom's.
Okay, so what you're saying brings me back to our episode about Mama's Boy. Remember we talked about Mama's Boy and what's considered healthy, not healthy?
Exactly.
Okay, so basically when I did that quiz on you, is what's considered a mama's boy, but the extreme end of it, okay, maybe that's when it's time that you have a conversation with your partner and you're like, yo, look, I know you love your mama. I love her too. Great. These are some things we need to work on, because I think in order to have a healthy relationship, like you definitely need some sort of boundaries if you're on the extreme side of oversharing with your mom. And I think as a partner, you should have the right to say like what you share with her or the things that are like impacting the relationship. Like you need to figure that shit out. But then on the opposite side, where maybe you really like your mother-in-law, but your partner as the husband doesn't have a strong relationship with his mom, how do you try to maybe then encourage them to do that? Right.
So I think you can't encourage it, because I think that you're dealing in that situation with 3 people, and to get 3 mentally healthy people into an equation, that's a 3-way triangle, because one person being mentally unhealthy ruins that. So there's no good advice you can give.
What if the mom approached daughter-in-law to say, I really wish my son would call me and talk to me? Does the daughter-in-law have the right to say to said mother-in-law, if you just did this, this, and this, it might improve it? Are you allowed to give tips? Because your husband, which is her son, the best.
Okay, let me give an example. I think the relationship that we have as the 3 of us, like you, me, and my mom, the relationship we have is, I love the fact that you are friends with my mom. You don't look at my mom like a mother-in-law. Like you genuinely look at my mom like a friend. She is a mother-in-law to you.
And she's someone I can talk to.
But my mom's a friend.
Yeah.
So like, that's the greatest example. Like the thing is, you could be like, hey, why don't you reach out to him? I know some of the reasons that he doesn't want to reach out to you are this. Mm-hmm. But then you can say that as a friend.
Oh, but then is it crossing a line if I went and said to mother-in-law, oh, this is just what he's going through right now? Like, do you think there should be rules in a relationship where...
No. I think because if your intentions are absolutely pure, then that's that. You know how you just brought up earlier being like, yeah, so when it comes to like stuff you shouldn't be talking about your mom about. You're never going to get that from me, where if I have close friends, I'm going to talk about what I need to talk about to stay mentally healthy. Mm-hmm. I just may not relay that I had this conversation with my mom, and my mom being my friend during that conversation, I could be like, don't talk to Courtney about this because it weirds her out that we talk, but I just need to talk through this with someone that I know is never going to steer me wrong.
So you just do it behind my back anyway?
Of course. Because there's tons of times that you've probably had conversations with your friends, like with Kay, that like, you're like, you're not saying anything bad. You're not anything. You're like, am I crazy in this situation, or am I this way?
Yeah, but they're also my friend, not my like mother.
Yeah, but that's where I'm saying to you that I wasn't looking for a mom to comfort me. I was looking for someone that's like being like, no, you're okay here.
Well, next week when we get into crossing the bridge between family and friends. Remind me of this because I have a problem with that.
I don't think like for me it's
Anyways,
not
we're getting way too much into it though.
Well, no, we're talking about mother and son.
Okay.
Like I can't think of an example where that's there, but I know when it came to that, I know the things that I would say, hey, I had the conversation with my mom, whether it be like a 2-minute conversation, that I would just be like, oh, if I tell her that, that's going to fucking piss her off.
Oh.
Like I always ultimately end up whatever I'd say to her is nothing I haven't said to you. Like it's not like
I'm not talking about that. I'm
that.
talking about like, is there like some sort of code between like partners where if you say like, okay, we're not telling anyone this, and it's like a joint choice.
No, because
you
know when it comes to me, there's I don't have a solid base anywhere. I know you are, but what I'm saying is like there's friends where I'm just like, hey, most of the time I'm just bouncing ideas off of people being like, I've made this decision, this is what I'm gonna do. Am I an asshole because of this? Like, just say, like, you handled, like, I said something to you. We had a conversation. I'm like, I couldn't read whether you were pissed or processing or angry. I could say to her, hey, this is what I said. Like, am I out of line? Like, should I do this?
I get it. Yeah.
So those are the kind of things
okay.
where I'm just like I don't get into our sex. I'm like, yeah, so Courtney did this thing to me the other day. Don't tell her I told you. I don't mean that.
No, that's not what I mean either. I just mean like, I would want to know, even if like somebody has a really good relationship with their parent, that I think it's okay you have to respect, I think,
okay. So in all fairness, just to kind of add a caveat to my thought, I'm also the kind of person where if I've had that conversation with you, then I have that conversation with mom being like, was I the asshole in this? I normally, like 99% of the time, will have the conversation with you again and being like, yeah, I know you probably don't like it, but I just kind of brushed this past, mom, to just be like, what, like I just felt bad, and I was like, am I a jerk?
No, you keep going to the example. I don't know why you keep going to this whole thing of like, am I the asshole? You keep giving the example of like that you've done something wrong or you've said something. I'm talking about you and I have had something happen between us. This is an us situation. I have said, like, please don't tell anybody. Like, we're figuring this out right now.
Right.
Whatever it may be. You did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Just something happened. I don't know. I got sick. I won the lottery. I don't know. Good or bad.
Yeah.
We go through something where I say, like, just don't tell anybody. And because you're a blabbermouth.
Yep.
Like, and you went and told your mom and then said, Mom, I just need to tell you this because I can't keep fucking secrets, but don't tell Courtney because she told me not to tell you. And then I find out, like, I'd be mad. Like, I would want to know, like,
I wouldn't do something in those kind of situations because, as I said previously, the conversation I have with mom is where a decision has been made and then I talk to her. I'm not looking to her for influence. I'm looking to her to be sounding board.
Right.
This is what I'm doing.
Okay.
So, like, situations like that, where we're lost in a peril of what do we do, my brain goes to, I'm going to wait till we figure it out.
Okay.
And then talk.
I like that. I would.
No, it's always the way it is. Like, so like even, no, it is. It is. There's times, I know you're looking at me and like the thing that you're doing. And this will be what'll happen is we'll have a conversation and you'll be like, this is what we're doing. I'll be like, oh, okay, are you sure? Yeah. And you'll still be like, yeah, and you'll be firm, but like kind of up in the air still. So the next day I'll be like, hey, so this is a situation that's going on. And like everything's already settled. You've been like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Well, yeah, but I'm like, when I tried to tell her my point of view, like I'm, like there's times where I'll try to say something to you and I know you're never going to hear it. Like pre-trip before you went away, there's tons of shit I wanted to talk to you about that I know I couldn't say without you actually going and then coming back and living it yourself.
Right.
It's good. It's not worth the argument. So there's those things where when you're like, this is the decision I'm making. This is what we're doing. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I can tell that you're just making a decision because you're anxious about making a decision. So you make a decision so you don't have to worry about making the decision. So we'll talk to mom and then you'll do that. And I'll be like, yeah, it's funny. Like I was talking to mom today about this whole thing. You'll be like, why would you talk to your mom? We haven't even talked about it. We haven't even decided anything. And I'm like, no, according to you, we did last night. We made this decision, and now you've thought about it for 24 hours, which is what I was asking you to do yesterday.
Stop being so quick to just spread the news.
But you're so quick to make the decision, while I'm so fucking wanting to be like, pause.
Because I know. I get it. You're right.
The number one thing I yell at you all the time. Like, if I could have you do one thing for the rest of your life that I really need you to be, what would it be? Listen. And so if I can have someone who can just listen to my side so I can get it out of my system, I'm good.
Okay.
So those are the only times that plays in.
Well, I'm very happy that you have a great relationship with your mom. And I think that
It is a good thing.
I know there's a lot of men out there that do as well.
Absolutely.
It's odd to hear it come out of someone's mouth, like, and not the first person to say, you know, my son never calls me, my son never this, my son never that, and he's never, like, it just, I've seen more of that side than men that have a good relationship with their mom. So.
Right. The one thing that makes it very easy for me to have a great relationship with my mom not only respects the shit out of our relationship, she honors it. Like, our relationship is something she looks at because of, like, her life and the things she's seen in relationships. She's like, holy shit, how in the world, like, do these two people find each other and be what they are? Like, just this team, like a machine, like, we're together. Like, if I know something, you know something. Like, we're just so compatible that when she looks at us, she, like, envies us. And that's what makes it really easy. Like, if I ever, like, heaven forbid I ever did something to, like, you that was uncool, like, uncouth, like, bad. Genuinely, like, it would be shitty that you were upset with me. But I think my mom
Being so disappointed in you.
it would just be the worst. Like,
Yeah.
like, to fuck up this relationship would make my mom so fucking upset with me. Because she's like, you have this perfect fucking person with you.
Well, then maybe I need to talk to your mom a little bit more.
Why the fuck does that mean? You're so fucking rude. Making me.
I'm a little upsetty spaghetti.
Yeah, fuck you.
All right. I think we should jump into the main.
Yeah, the main has to be really short, though.
That unfortunately we can't do that topic.
Yeah, that's, you know what, we
I
could
was
probably just leave this as being just one episode. Let's just leave this
How
whole,
long has that been at?
35 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because our main for this episode was, I think, going to be bigger than... Actually, I think that doesn't even need a mid.
No,
I think our
no.
next topic is no mid.
No, that's absolutely perfect. So we'll just leave that as
Yeah.
the podcast. So thank you for listening. That was
Yeah. We're going to leave you on an absolute cliffhanger to know what's next.
Yeah, we don't know what we're going to do next. It'll be a lot of fun. So you can check us out on our Instagram or
And our TikTok, which lately I've been trying a little bit better at, adding in some new captions there. I've noticed that, like, we're getting a little bit more views
which is
on our
nice.
TikToks, which is kind of cool. Not more followers, though. So if you want to keep hearing some really ridiculous clips to the episodes before they come out, then you need to follow DIALOGOVERDRAMA.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Goodbye. Good night. Love you. Dialog Over Drama is recorded in Stony Creek, Ontario. Original music provided by Allegories and Jesse James and the Medicine Show. This has been a Dialog Over Drama production.